बो बला जो लिखियां सन शुगरा ने दुआवां हो लिखियां रह गईयां तेरे बाजों वीरन गाजी इंज शाम पै गईयां। बावाज़ बुलंद सलावत।
One more loud salawat. Just say one more loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahu. Before we start with today's lecture, please, for our deceased, the gift of Fatiha. Let's send them the blessings of 2 Qurans on behalf of all of our marhum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahu. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Every praise to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the most beneficent, most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. I serve only you. I beseech your help in everything that I do. Keep me on the straight path, the path that is true, the path of those who have gained favors by you, not the path of those who have earned your wrath, nor those who deviated from your guided path. Surah Ikhlas. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, most merciful. Say Allah is the singular numeral. There's nothing but Allah we need in this world. He begets not, nor begotten is He. Allah is the only OG. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahus samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, most merciful. Say Allah is the singular numeral. There's nothing but Allah we need in this world. He begets not, nor begotten is He. Allah is the only OG. May Allah send blessings on Muhammad's family. May he quickly return my living Imam to me. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahu. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad waj'al farajahu. Allah is the greatest. Allahu Akbar. Everything created was made by Allah. Allah is uncreated. Allah exists not because He is there, but Allah is not unpresent either. Allah's presence is a feeling, it's a certainty, but it's not a physical presence. It's not an emotional presence, not a mental presence. Allah's presence is beyond our understanding. Allah's presence has always been there and will always be there. There's a time when there was nothing but Allah. Nothing but Allah. And what did Allah do? Allah created. Allah created. Why? Because that's how great Allah is. You see, when something is as great as Allah is, it deserves to be recognized. It deserves to be praised. It deserves to be noticed. It deserves to be acknowledged. And Allah, acknowledging His own greatness, acknowledging His greatness is such that it demands to be recognized. Allah created. There was nothing but Allah. So Allah created. See, Hazrat Adam was the first man, right? I'm going to start the lecture series where I'm starting from Hazrat Adam, and inshallah we'll end with Imamat and talk about our living Imam. We're here because we are the ones actively waiting, creating a safe space, creating an army, creating followers for our living Imam. That's why we're here. And that's why everything since the inception of creation till the end of the world has led up to this moment that we're living in now. Times are really interesting what's going on right now. I heard from somebody else that refused to talk about politics, refused to talk about religion. Every time it would come up to me, I talk about it sarcastically. I say, what difference does it make who's president? We know who's running the show, right? You know, this is always my answer. When I would talk to this person about it, they wouldn't want to talk politics. Yesterday, this person came to me and said, you know, KUMAIL, there's people protesting for the U.S. and other parts of the world. We're usually the ones protesting for them. But all over the world, people are protesting for our rights, and we don't know about it because our media is being limited. That was news to me. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. You know, I'm not on social media. I don't watch the news, right? But I hear things and I see things, and I always have a generally good idea of what's actually happening. And if this is actually happening, My brothers and sisters, we need to step it up. We need to understand. Stop making excuses tomorrow and the day after and later on. We need to understand that Allah wants us to praise Him constantly, consistently, right? His praise the biggest part of His praise is acknowledgement of those who He loves. And acknowledgement is our requirement to acknowledge our living Imam. When we die, that's the question we're going to be asked. Who's your Imam? When Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa Jafar. When he buried the woman who raised him, Bibi Fatima bint Asad, right? She had raised him. She was the mother of Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. When he buried her, he said, Muhammad is your prophet. And your son, not Akil, your son, not Akil. He's teaching her who her Imam was. So when she is being questioned in the grave, she knew to say Hazrat Ali was the successor. That is how imperative it is that even before Hazrat Ali was appointed successor on this earth, he was already successor from the beginning of time. But before it was known on this earth, he wanted to make sure that when she was questioned, she got the questions right. So important to acknowledge and recognize. I want everyone to say, who is our Imam? Imam Muhammad Mehdi Sahib was Zaman alayhi salam, the descendant of Prophet Muhammad, the descendant of Hazrat Isa. That is who we follow. Jesus is coming, people say. Jesus is coming, Jesus is coming. And if you look at that and you laugh, you're wrong. Jesus is coming. He's the father-in-law of Imam Zamana, and he's coming to support our Imam. You know, I was talking to my sister. It was her birthday yesterday, and she told me there was recently a wedding, and at that wedding, there was this comedian, KUMAIL, right? He's in a bunch of movies, and she told me, I didn't talk to him. And I said, why not? I guess he was in a movie, and he was explaining what Islam is, and he said, when you're a kid, you go into the room and pretend to pray 5 times a day, and then once a year, you go to the masjid, and you cry about stories that happened 1,400 years ago, and that offended her. Why? Because he made light of Karbala. I want to make something known. We cry about something that happened 1,400 years ago. Hazrat Adam was created roughly 6,000 years ago, and he cried for Karbala. Right? Bibi Fatima Zahra, on the day that Imam Hussein was born, cried for Karbala. So yes, 1,400 years later, we're lucky that we're still crying for it. This is our job. And I said this last week, I said this week before I say it again. Shias are the only people who are born being told you are going to save the world. Your father told it to you. His father told it to him. My father told it to me. I tell it to someone. This father tells it. I'm telling you guys. We know that we are the ones going to save the world. So whatever goes on, it doesn't matter. It excites us because now our calling is here. You're not going to meet anyone else like that. Nobody else from the time they're a child until they grow up holds that responsibility in their heart. Holds that responsibility in their heart. And I'm going to tell you why it's in our heart. I'm going to tell you why it's in our heart when I explain the creation of Hazrat Adam. So Hazrat Adam was created, and there were things created before Hazrat Adam, right? Heavens were created. Angels were created. The earth was created. Allah sent Hazrat Adam onto earth that he created as a place where animals could exist, where life could exist, the type of life forms that we can interact with. You know, the deer, the lions, the tigers, the birds, the cockroaches, we can interact with them, right? These can all exist on earth. Put everything perfect here. He sent Hazrat Adam to earth when there were horses to ride, camels to ride far. There were animals to eat. There was water that was delicious to drink. There were fruits and berries to eat, right? Now, what if he had put Hazrat Adam on Mars where there's nothing? Hazrat Adam might have figured out how to survive, maybe not. We don't know what's over there, right? You see pictures of Mars, there's no vegetation. There's no water either, right? He didn't send him to Mars, no. He dropped him from Jannat all the way down. He fell through space with the rock in front of Kaaba on his back, right? It says that Adam, the rock on his back, and Bibi Hawa dropped from Jannat all the way down to earth, right? And that is how we came. You know, people talk about alien invasion on earth. They're worried that people are going to come, or life forms are going to come from outer space, come to earth and take over the earth. We are those aliens, right? We came here when the earth already existed and took it over. Look at what we did to it, right? That is us, right? We are the creation that we fear the most, that these movies and the conspiracy fear the most. It's already happened. So who was Hazrat Adam? What was his creation? You see, when you say what was his creation, anybody who knows anything about Allah will say, why are we talking about how he was created? Doesn't Allah say, be and it is? It says that in the Bible. It says that in the Quran. Kun fayakun, be and it is. So why do we talk about the creation of Adam? Because Allah didn't create Adam with kun fayakun. No, Allah created the world. Allah created the light of Prophet Muhammad. The first light was the most perfect creation. So nobody could say that Allah needed practice, right? If his Prophet Muhammad's third creation, fourth creation, they say, we figured it out and then created. But his first creation was his greatest, most perfect creation. It's his testament, his illustration to mankind, and anyone who wants angels and Iblis and anyone who wants to doubt him and say that Allah is not perfect, say, look at my first creation. It's the best, right? And that was his intention for the world. His intention. You see, his intention to create the world. He says in Hadith Qudsi, I created the world for these personalities. And these personalities were created before everything. So before Allah created anything, he created an intention, right? That's why it's important to understand why we need to have an intention for every action we do. You see, I said that we constantly need to praise Allah. If you're breathing, if your motion, if you're walking has an intention, that's all praise of Allah. And if it has no intention, then it means nothing. But if you have an intention that I live for you, Allah, I wake up for you, I will go through my day for you, every step you take is ibadat of Allah. And that only difference between it being ibadat and not being ibadat is what? Your intention, right? And to illustrate that, Allah created his intention. And his intention is his praise, right? Period. So he created the earth. And I was reading something, trying to get ready for today's lecture, and I saw something interesting. In Surah Baqarah, verse 31, 32, right? Allah tells the angels, he said, I created, I made a creation. I made a life form, and this life form is going to be like Khalifa on earth. Khalifa means vicegerent. Vicegerent means what? Means successor. A successor on earth. So if mankind is a successor on earth, there had to have been something else on earth beforehand, right? Now, as we know, there's dinosaurs, we see fossils of them, right? But when people try to put together, see, evolution it's a scientific fact, right? You see birds have evolved throughout time, right? It's a scientific fact, right? Saying there's evolution doesn't go against Islam. Saying that apes turn into humans, that goes against Islam, right? And the proof of that is in the creation of Adam, right? And if you look at the link that they have, right? There's apes, and then there's what? There's a Neanderthal, and then there's Cro-Magnon, which is us, right? What's the link between there? There's no like Neanderthal, Crow. They don't have that missing. They're always looking for the missing link, right? The missing link between ape and Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon doesn't exist. Why? They're all separate creations, all separate creations of Allah, right? So, showing proof of a prehistoric man who didn't have, I'm going to get into a little bit of science. I hope you guys don't mind. So our prefrontal lobe, see, the way we're created is different because we have opposable thumbs, and the front of our brain is more, it's more fine and more defined. It controls more of our body than the rest of our brain. Now, if you look at other animals, the front of their brain isn't as developed, right? And so the Cro-Magnon, us, mankind, we have a developed prefrontal lobe, which allows us to have creativity, which allows us to feel emotions, which allows us to make choices, which allows us to be free. See, freedom doesn't exist if you don't know you're free. So in order to have freedom, Allah had to give us the capacity to understand and to need to be free. And that's what is created with the prefrontal lobe. So perhaps there were Neanderthals on Earth that were limited in their capacity to understand their surroundings, to understand their relationship to Allah, which isn't it's not a bad thing. See, angels understand their relationship to Allah, right? But they don't have creativity. They don't have choices, right? They do what they're created to do. Some angels are created to pray. Some angels are created to, there's an angel that Prophet Muhammad saw in Miraj, that when he spread his wings, every peacock on earth would spread its wings, right? He saw another angel who would count the blessings that Allah sent to earth, right? They're angels created for different things, but all they could do is that thing. That's all they could do, right? We do many other things. You give us a job to do, I'm going to go blow it off and go play basketball or do something, right? That's my choice. Angels can't do that, right? Mankind could do that. That was the difference, right? Allah made a creation that has a choice, that has creativity, and look what they're going to do with the earth, right? And that was Hazrat Adam. So before Allah created Hazrat Adam, like I said, there was a light. And then in order to create the universe, this is kind of trippy. Think about this. Allah created a void. There's no void even. There was not even nothing, right? Nothing is a creation of Allah. If I look, there's nothing over there. That is a creation of Allah, that there's nothing over there. Because if that wasn't created, I couldn't point to it, right? So Allah had to create space, had to create nothing. It's called an expanse. And in that expanse, he filled it with wind. And then he had waters come with high waves, and he let the wind control the water, right? And it created it into foam. And and then he sent more water, and he sent the winds, hot winds and cold winds, and he had the water then settle into foam, and the foam settle into matter, and he placed the matter all over the sun, the moon, the planets, and all this. He set up everywhere, right? According to his calculations. When I say calculation, he didn't sit there on a calculator. He didn't make a plan. He didn't decide, I'm going to do this. He just did it. He just did it. And he knew what it was going to be before he did. He just did it. That's kun fayakun. What I also described is the Big Bang Theory, right? People talk about the Big Bang Theory. They don't know how it worked. You know who told us how the Big Bang Theory works? Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. When I was a kid, I used to hear about Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. And I used to think that, man, why did these people ask him questions that are there aliens? Why wouldn't they ask him questions like, how's the world created? Like, people, is there creation? But if they asked Hazrat Ali, he would clear it up. And I would think about this and what I would ask Hazrat Ali alayhi salam. And then one day, I stopped being lazy and I opened up Nahjul Balagha. You know what his first sermon is about? The creation of the universe, right? And I think it's interesting because in Nahjul Balagha, his sermon 1, he comes up and he says, hey, here's how the universe is created. Now let me talk about important things. You see that? Put it to bed here. This is what happened. And now learn. Now learn. And this is what we're here to do, is take these thousands of years of knowledge and use it to spread hope, to build strength, and to bring people to wait for the Imam with us. Wait for the Imam with us. 2 weeks ago, me and Nadeem, I sat here, Dua KUMAIL alone. It was a great night. We sat here, we talked about our plans for the year, right? And now look, right? This is the beginning of a movement. That's what we're here to do. We are going to make people understand that waiting for the Imam makes you feel good. It's better than anything else you could do. Gives you strength, gives you success, gives you fulfillment over anything. Because that's what we're put on this earth to do, is to be a reflection of Allah, to be a representative of Allah, to show people the qualities of Allah through our actions, right? And to wait for our Imam. That doesn't mean you wait and you look at the clock, oh my God, when's he going to come, right? That means no. When you wait for somebody to come and you know they're going to come soon, you know they could come at any time, you clean your house, right? You get ready, you fix your mood, you get in the right kind of mindset for that person to come. And that's what we're doing, is we are actively waiting for our Imam. So how did Allah create Hazrat Adam? In Surah Waqia, it says, Ashabul Yamini ma, Ashabul Mash'amati ma, people of the right hand and the people of the left hand. Talks about this in regards to their experience on the Day of Judgment, right? And if you read Surah Waqia, you'll know you want to be the people of the right hand. You don't want to be the people of the left hand on that day, right? Now, what does that mean? See, when Allah created Hazrat Adam, he sent his angel down to earth. Now, I read, and I want to tell you guys something. What I'm telling you is most of it's from Hayatul Qulub, right? And why am I saying this? Because what I'm doing here, it's easy. I read the book and I tell you what I read in the book, right? So anyone who looks and says, oh, he has knowledge, the knowledge is there. It's for you, for me, for all of us, right? The only difference between me standing here telling you is I read the book, right? I read the book and I craved the opportunity to tell people about it. And Allah created that opportunity. There's no difference between me standing here and you sitting over there. In fact, you're lucky, because when I was your age, I wasn't sitting over there, right? I was doing something else. And you're sitting over here on Thursday. You guys drove alone, right? Who's there? Your mom, your sister? Which one? Your little sister and your mom, right? On a Thursday night, I would never go with my sister to the Jamaat with my mother unless my dad forced me. So I'm telling you that, right? Don't look at me as, oh, come out by someone knowledgeable, someone special. The only special opportunity I have is the fact that you're here listening to me. And the fact that I one day read that book and I remember what I read and I thought about it because I craved that knowledge, right? So one day you guys will have the opportunity to spread Islam too. But develop that craving for the truth. That's what we are as Shias. We are people who know the truth, right? People ask me, hey, you don't drink? You don't listen to us? I say, oh, no, oh, you can't drink. Oh, you can't eat pork. That's how they say it to me. I say, I could eat pork. I could drink. I just don't want to. There's a difference. I can do whatever I want, right? I can do whatever I want. Allah gave me that power, do whatever I want. I just don't want to do that. Why? Because I know the difference. You see, in the 80s, people were smoking inside the masjid, smoking inside cars, smoking inside classrooms. And then all of a sudden they told everyone, hey, it's bad for you. And people said, oh, had we had the knowledge, we wouldn't smoke. So people say if we had the knowledge, we wouldn't do it. Now as Shia, we have the knowledge of everything. So we know what not to do. We know we're not going to eat pork. We know we're not going to drink. We know we're not going to do all the stuff that's bad for you here and in the hereafter. That's the only difference is knowledge. Knowledge and power, right? Knowledge is power. We have knowledge and we have power and we have hope. That is because we have the teachings, the Khalifa of the representation of Allah on this earth from Hazrat Adam all the way to Imam Muhammad Mehdi Sahib wa Zaman alayhi salam. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa Jafar. So it's creation of Hazrat Adam. Allah sent his angel in Hayatul Qulub. It says it's either Jibreel or Israel. Israel is the angel of death. Okay, one of them went to earth. Most places you read say it was Hazrat Jibreel. Some places Hazrat Israel, right? Went to earth. Now, when Prophet Muhammad described Jannat from his trip in Miraj, he said he saw a tree that was so big that if a bird flew around it for 250 years, it wouldn't make it around the trunk. He saw houses so big, they were bigger than the earth, right? He saw angels so big that, like angel who had peacock wings, when he spread his wings, it spread far. So things are bigger in Jannah. So we don't know how large the angels are, right? But what we do know is that the angel was sent to earth to gather dirt from all places of the earth, cold dirt, wet dirt, all kinds of matti. And they brought it up to Allah. Right? This angel brought it to Allah. How? With his hands, with his right hand and his left hand. And he gave this to Allah. And Allah took the dirt, right? And he didn't say, kun fayakun, and Hazrat Adam came. No. What did Allah do? He took water. He took soft water. He took warm water. He took cold water, and he merged the dirt. What happens when you take different types of dirt and you pour water on it? It all unifies, right? That's what happened. And then what happens? The dirt's there, and you starts to dry out, and what happens? You can mold it, right? But before he molded it, he kneaded it. He kneaded it for 40,000 years, right? All the angels would see is we go and we pray, right? There's Allah's throne, and we go and we do tawaf of the throne, and now they see something else is happening. This dirt that came from this place way down below for 40,000 years is being softened and kneaded, being kneaded for 40,000 years until it's ready, is right consistency. And then Allah created the body of Hazrat Adam, created the limbs of Hazrat Adam, created the organs of Hazrat Adam, created the body of Hazrat Adam, right? And then what? And then he put it in front of his throne, and he set it in front of his throne, and the angels came. And now when they're doing tawaf, there's Allah's throne, and there's Hazrat Adam's body. They didn't know what it was. And they just looked at it, and they knew something great was from it. They were intimidated by it. And Iblis is a jinn, right? We know that it says in Surah Qaf that Iblis was a jinn, right? What's a jinn? Jinn is created from a smokeless fire. I'll give you a little bit of history about Iblis on another lecture, right? So just so you guys know, I'm going to talk about Hazrat Adam, then I'm talking about his children, then I'm talking about Hazrat Nuh, Hazrat Ibrahim, and we're going to go through these personalities in Islam to understand what their message was and why it's pertinent to today, and why they're mentioned in the Quran. Why don't we have to just learn about our Imam now? Why do we learn about these other people? It's important because that's Allah's representation. So let's talk about them, right? So this body of Hazrat Adam was sitting in front of the throne for 40,000 years. The angels did tawaf of the throne, right? Looking at it, wondering what is this thing, right? Now understand this: angels are made of light, right? The jinn are made of fire, smokeless fire. Those are non-physical things, right? So when they see this thing, it's wet and it's sticky and it's soft and it's pudgy, right? It's grotesque to them. What is this? What is this nasty thing sitting in front of this majestic throne, right? And Iblis would walk around. He'd do tawaf too. Oh yeah, Iblis had such a high stature. He lived at the highest level of Jannat, and Hazrat Jibreel would go and consult with him sometimes. That is who Iblis was. Iblis prayed more than you could ever dream of praying, right? But our du'as are worth more because of our intentions, because of our location on earth, right? And so as Iblis would do tawaf, he would kick the body sometimes and say, I don't know what you are, but I'm better than you. Yeah, Allah has something for you. I'm better than you. He would tell this before he even knew what it was. He knew it was something great, and he would taunt his body, right? He would do this 40,000 years. Then one day, Allah blew the spirit into Hazrat Adam, right? Blew the spirit into Hazrat Adam. Like you have a computer and it's ready to go. You turn it on, nothing happens, right? Oh, he needs power. You plug the power in, right? Back in the day, you remember you turn on, computer made that sound, right? That's how you now you don't have that, right? But I remember, turn it on, you don't hear that sound. Power's on, what's going on? It needs a CPU, right? Central processing unit, right? Not the brain. That's a physical creation. What drives your brain, what makes your heart pump is your soul. Our soul is different. Soul's already waiting. Soul's already created. And Allah took the soul that he had created for Hazrat Adam years, thousands of years before he created his body. And he blew the soul. All of creation is watching. He blew the soul into Hazrat Adam, right? And it started from his, it went down to his feet. And he started to stand up as he blew his soul, and Hazrat Adam started to stand up. And then the soul reached his nose, and he sneezed, right? When something new touches your nose, what happens? You sneeze. So same thing with the soul. It caused his body to jolt. He sneezed. All angels saw this. All creation saw this. And what came out of his mouth? Shukr, alhamdulillah. Praised Allah, right? He could have said anything. Burgers, I'm hungry, right? Anything. Give me water. He could have said anything. What did the creation do without being taught? See, the angels were taught what to do. This thing is new, newly created. Just blew life into it. It's praising you. And the angels were surprised and amazed. And then Allah said, and then they saw what this creation was. They saw what this creation was, right? I think I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to continue next week. And I'm going to talk about Hazrat Adam in Jannat, and then we'll talk about Hazrat Adam on earth. Hazrat Adam in Hayatul Qulub gives him about, I think, 40, 50 pages. And because the creation of Hazrat Adam is important. Why was it important? Because Allah's creating something important. So instead of just saying, hey, check this out, new thing, right? He wanted to show, right? You put effort into important things, and that's why Allah wants us to put effort into our ibadat, right? Because it's worth it. Our ibadat is great. Our ibadat is strong. Our ibadat is going to save the world. And Allah wants us to put effort into our ibadat. If your ibadat, let me ask you something. Hazrat Ali was so strong, knew everything. Was his ibadat effortless? It wasn't, right? Prophet Muhammad, was his ibadat effortless? Bibi Fatima, was her ibadat effortless? So why should our ibadat be easy? Struggle for your ibadat. Thank Allah for that struggle. And the harder your ibadat gets, the harder you try to do it. And that is one task you will always succeed at if your intention is right. If your intention is right. So my brother and sister, I want to ask you a favor. Come next week. Come the week after. We're going to continue. I promise you, I will help you learn something. I promise you I will not bore you. I will not waste your time. And as you can see, I walked in at 7:07. Nadeem, what was going on when I walked in? Hadith Kissa. Nadeem was sitting alone. We had committed to starting on time, 7:07 p.m. I walked in, I missed half a Hadith Kissa. That's what we do on Thursday nights here, right? So whoever's here, next week, I'm going to try to call some more people to come. I want everyone to try to call. This is a good thing that we're going to do here. And if you think I bored you, see me outside and I'll change. I'm not here for me. I'm here, inshallah, get Jannat out of it, inshallah. But we're all going to get there. We're all going to get there. And this is something. So if I'm not inspiring you, I should either change or go sit down and listen, right? So, help me, right? Muhammad Sawa. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Before Samad comes and recites Surah Jummah, I wanted to, one of you guys want to recite Surah? So I do Hadith Kissa sometimes. My Arabic's not that great. Samad does, Surah Jummah, right? That's what I want to see. That's how you learn. That's how we can get perfect reciters. Brother Muhammad Fazal will happily come and read every dua for us and, beautiful recitation. But this is a center where we want to make sure that there's always people who can recite dua after that. It starts from coming up here and making mistakes. And if you come up here and read, Nadima is going to grab a book and he's going to follow along. He's going to tell you where you made a mistake, not to embarrass you, but to teach you, right? And after coming up 1, 2, 3 times, your recitation will be immaculate. So I urge anyone, even the ladies, if you want to recite, we'll make arrangements for a program where you can recite and the men won't hear you. But that opportunity is here. Take it. Tell your friends too. Say, hey, why don't you come? What we're going to do for Shab Barat, right? That's our living imam's birthday. It's going to be on February 14th, Friday night. We're going to do the amals together. Maybe after this concludes, we'll take 10 minutes. We'll look at duaz.org, see the 16 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll sign half of them out here, right? And we'll get ideas on who we're going to give the rest of it to. And we'll come in and we'll do amals together that night. So let's stick around and just have a little chat after. It won't take too long. Bar Muhammad Wala Muhammad Salawat. A couple other things that we're trying to do in Ramzan is we're trying to make Friday night, Saturday night this place where we can come and do our thing Friday nights. I know after the masjid is over and after everyone looks for, let's go to Yo-Yo Burger and let's go here and let's find the Sahur Fest and this and that, right? We're gonna get a ping pong table here. Zane's looking at any luck on the courts. Okay, maybe you guys could help. We're looking for a gym. Maybe talk to your high school and see if we could rent the gym at night from 12 to 2. We want to play basketball and then come here and have seri. We've been doing this for 4 or 5 years down in Stanton. And so we play basketball there and then go eat at Yo-Yo Burger or Zayt and Zat or whatever's open, right? But if we can find a place around here and they come here, Imami is ready to give everybody seri, whatever we want, right? Food after. And so I think that'd be a great community building event. So, we're going to do things like this starting in Ramadan, maybe a little bit before, just to create a place where all of us weird people always tell us we're weird, we're different, right? This is where we fit in because we have one goal, one intention, and that's the love for the Ahlul Bayt. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad sallallahu.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yusabbihu lillahi ma fis samawati wa ma fil ardi al-malik al-quddus al-aziz al-hakim. Huwa allazi ba'asa fil ummiyina rasulam minhum yatlu alayhim ayatihi wa yuzakki يزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحق بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملونها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا فدوا إليها وتركوك قائما كل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. سورة الفاتحة حكم المؤمنات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد